traders and investors, it's Serge Berger here. I get asked a lot how people can get better leverage or at least some leverage on single name stocks as an alternative to using options. Options aren't always available, and sometimes there's the bid ask offer, and just a lot of people sometimes feel uncomfortable managing the risk with options, as much as those are good tools as well. So let me be clear on that as well. One way I like to do that is just by buying stocks within a sector I like that have a lower absolute price. For example, I've been talking about my bullish thesis on housing stocks for the past few weeks, and while that's been playing out very nicely, some of the housing stocks have absolute prices that are just a little bit too high for some people. So one thing you can do is you can look for stocks within a sector. I'm just going to give you the housing sector now, that have stocks for lower absolute prices. So for example, we can look at something like Toll Brothers, which is a housing stock. That stock has a fairly decent price in terms of fairly high, quote unquote. Currently trading around $40 now. Again, that's not high in respect to say Apple, but some folks prefer to buy stocks, say, below $15 or so, to gain a little bit more leverage, and that's exactly what we can try to do. So Toll Brothers wouldn't be one of those candidates. Also, from a capitalization perspective, the stock's got like about $7 billion in market cap. If you look at something like Standard Pacific Corp, however, also a housing stock. Okay, you can look at the description here. This is just Bloomberg.com. You can see what these guys do. But basically, here's a stock that has a lot less market cap. So market cap of about $2.5 billion, so just barely above the small cap threshold, which is by classic definition. And of course, a stock that in absolute price terms trades just short of the $10 mark. So what some folks like to do, oops, I tapped on the wrong ticker. What some folks like to do, and myself including, is as long as there's enough volume, these stocks, and of course your thesis on the broader sector is intact, these stocks offer an opportunity to basically get more leverage on the sector. So in my current thesis for the housing sector, this to me is a pretty attractive option. Again, this is not a recommendation. I'm just explaining to you how to get more leverage, but also from a technical perspective, the stock is lining up, and I'm not going to go through the technicals now because that's sort of not the point of this video. But just in absolute terms, you get a stock that's got enough volume, doesn't have crazy bid-ask spreads. There's enough liquidity out there. There's enough news flow. Everything's kind of standard. It's not a penny stock, so it's not a stock trading, below $1 or even below $5 from that perspective. But a stock that's trading at about a quarter of the absolute price of, say, Toll Brothers. So it's also a stock that, on average, will tend to move a little bit faster in percentage terms, and that's the key. So something like an SPF, you don't want to take the same amount of risk in absolute terms you want to take, say, like in an ETF on the housing sector, but you can still take decent sized risk in a stock like this and should be able to gain some leverage without having to use options. So I hope this makes sense, guys. As always, you can head on over to thesteadytrader.com, see what we're doing over there. Otherwise, you can hit me up on Twitter. My Twitter handle is SteadyTrader, and I'll see you in the next video.